Welcome to Cyrils Brettspiele. My name is Nils, and today in a preview, Cytosis, a cell building game. As you can see, it's only on my pad so far because it's not out there right now. So Cytosis is a new game from Genius Game, a company that is well known for their scientific aspects on the games and their scientific correctness, biological and chemistry correctness of these games. And that is the reason why this is a cell building game. So you are technically in a cell and you proceed all this proteins, all this carbs, all this ATP through your cell to score health, and health is victory points in this game. However, in terms of a game, it is a worker placement game. So each player has 1, 2, 3, 4 workers, 3 markers here. 1 is simply the victory point marker, and 2 are goal card markers, and 2 transmission discs. I explain that in a second. You also have goal cards, you also have event cards, and cell component cards. All of this is really important. Then you have some resources, ATP, microRNA, protein, lipid, and carbs. So that's what you have, and you have a first player card. And let me address that up front right now. Being the first player in this game is a huge advantage. And let's jump into what you can do with your workers. By the way, depending on the number of players, you either have 3 or 4 workers per game and per round. And in as many worker placement games, you use your workers to place them in a spot, like here for an example. Once you put it on a spot, that spot is blocked for everybody. Some areas have 2 spots, like here. 2 players can place their workers here, but once that is blocked, then this area is completely blocked and no one else can use this round anymore. Let's go quickly over the worker placement areas and then go into my final ideas, final thoughts on what I like on it and what's not. However, before I do this, I wanted to introduce you to the goal cards. The goal cards are really cool. I like that a lot. That is one of the best parts of this game for me. Why? This is a really tricky mechanism that John, the designer, thought about it. I really like that part. So depending on the number of players, you always have always number of players plus 1 card. However, in a 5-player game, you simply use all of this 5. Let's assume we are here with 4 players and we use all the 5 goal cards here. Then you put them on top of here. As I mentioned, when you place your worker here, you can see you become first player. You get the first player card, and you can either take, this is a symbol for ATP, or a goal marker. Taking ATP is pretty straightforward. You get one of these resource tokens into your personal supply, but honestly, in the beginning of the game, you may want to place your goal marker. The advantage of placing your goal marker early in the game is when you place that here, you get 3 victory points. It's printed on here. Victory points again is health in this game, so by placing your goal marker here, gives you immediately 3 points. Great. Later on in the game, if blue, for an example, picks the same in a different round, the same goal card, he simply gets not the 3 victory points. What is really cool on this goal cards? Wow, that is easy. Once you pick the goal card, you only have 2 goal markers. But let's take a closer look to this goal card. Steroid hormones. Gain an additional 2 points for each steroid hormone you build this game. From now on, everybody knows you are interested in building steroid hormones. Why? Because you score additional points. So it is smart to get your 3 additional victory points, and 3 is a lot. So usually you are ending up between 60 and 80 points to win the game. So 3 is a good number. However, if you reveal that and become starting player, and that is a huge advantage in the game, I explain that in a second, in that moment everybody knows, oh, you are going for steroid hormones. And if you combine the steroid hormones with the steroid hormone receptor cards here, as you can see, receptors, then you have a pretty good engine, and you have placed your both cubes here, but now everybody knows your strategy for the rest of the game. So going early there gives you the advantage of becoming first player a couple of times and score additional points. However, you reveal your strategy for the whole game. I really like that aspect, and this is very unique for me. I haven't seen gold cards used in this double way so far in any other game. So revealing your strategy by placing your cube there, that is clever. Well done. So other spots are simply giving you resources. Here you can get the yellow, the lipid resource. Here you can get the RNA resource, which is here. I mentioned that probably earlier. These are the two basic resources, yellow and black, and ATP as well. You can get these very easy, red and green, which is carbs and proteins. You can only proceed them. As you mentioned here, probably for an example, you can exchange black into reds. So you can exchange microRNA into proteins if you wish. In this area there will be two freelancer workers. So if you pay 4 ATP, you can use them as freelancers, as one-shots. Here on this area you simply get ATP 3, 2, or you can transform 1 green into 6 ATP, and this is the only area where you can get green cubes, and this is by transforming ATP into green cubes, either 2 or 1. So you see, green cubes are really, really rare. The rest of the board, which is this area here, is more or less to proceed the cards. We haven't talked about the cards, therefore I will introduce you to the cell component cards right now. You start the game with 3 of these component cards on your hand. You pick 2 and discard the last one. However, each single round there will be 4 available here to purchase, to buy. How do you purchase them? Simply use your worker and place them here, 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 or here. And in this case you have to pay 3 ATP. In this case, for an example, it's free. You can simply take the card onto your hand. Each card you get from here goes into your hand. As you can see, this is a steroid hormone card, and it tells you a lot. First of all, smooth ER. It tells you in which area on the board you use that. Smooth ER is here, so you need this one here. It's a blue background to proceed your strategy from here. I explain that in a second. However, all these have the symbols here, rough ER, and so on. Here is this cytoplasm, and so on. There are a couple of different cards in this. One is enzymes, one is simply resource cards. Then you have protein hormones or steroid hormones, and then receptors for both of them. The last possible card is a detoxification card, and a detoxification card gives you also a small victory point, but whoever has the most detoxification cards at the end of the game will score additional 8 points. So this is also an end scoring point. These cards will be revealed from round to round anyway, and here are your worker spots. Let's talk about the event cards, and the event cards are usually good. There are only a few bad cards in this event deck. The event cards are first of all the timer of the game. And the beginning of each round is placing your workers. Simply in turn order, the starting player places 1 worker, takes the action, then the next player takes his action, and so on, 1 at a time, until everybody is running out of workers. If you do so, you simply recall all your workers back into the hand, and then flip over one of these event cards. This is one of the bad ones, toxicity. And this means simply if you have too much resources, you have to get rid of some. But however, it's only 5 or more that you have to discard 1. It's not as bad as it looks like. More important are these cards here, reduce ATP cost. This means for the next round, each single card here from this component cards are costing 1 less. This is free, this costs 1, and this 2. And whoever is a starting player gets the advantage of picking 1 card first. But it's getting even more better. So this one here, for an example, gets an additional ATP to this area, and whoever takes an action there at the first time in this round get this additional ATP. And you can imagine if you transfer 1 green into 6 or 7 makes a difference, but if you pick up 3 or 4, that makes a huge difference. As you can see, being starting player is a really important part of the game. Once this event deck runs out of cards and you flip over the last card, then you have 1 more worker placement round for everybody, and then now we have to talk about how you score big points in the game. Let's talk about steroid hormones. Let's assume you have a steroid hormone card on your hand, or even maybe 2 of them, but you wanted to play this card here. To start your process of getting this card from your hand and score victory points, you have to go to Smooth ER. However, this card would be 8 victory points when you really play that from your hand. But let's go step by step. Let's assume the blue player has this card on his hand. You're looking for Smooth ER, which is here, and now you place one of your workers here. There's only 1 spot, however, that is more than enough. You look again at the card and that says 3 yellow cubes. You place one of your discs here in that area and place from your personal supply 3 yellow cubes on here. Again, these discs will be a little bit bigger and the cubes a little bit smaller, so there's no reason to complain about this. This is still a prototype. So once you place your worker there, you place your disc there, and also your 3 yellow cubes from your hand. Later on in this turn or a following turn, it doesn't matter, you place your blue cube here. In that moment, maybe you mentioned that dotted line here. However, there's a dotted line from rough ER as well here. You proceed your disc down here. Take your cubes with it and proceed there. Then you take another look at your card still in your hand and you see there's a green cube. Now you take a green cube, also mentioned here on the board by the way. Now you take your green cube, your green resource, and place it here. Again, it has to come from your personal supply. And then later on in the same round or in a later round, you place your worker here. And then you follow this dotted line and your disc comes with you. It goes into the membrane here, go through the membrane, you remove your cubes. You also pay this blue costs here. This is mentioned here, 2 ATP to process your card here. So you go back to your personal supply, take the 2 ATP, pay them, and all of this goes now back into the general supply. And in that case, you can place down your card and score 8 health points or 8 victory points. You simply take your marker and place it here. Congratulations, now you have 1 steroid hormone placed down. If you placed your goal marker previously here, it's worth 2 additional at the end of the game. One really interesting part on that, and that is also very unique on this game. Let's assume in one of the earlier rounds you build the steroid hormone receptors, or even one of your opponent build it. For demo purposes, let's assume you build 1 and 2 of your opponents build also 1. What does this card mean? First of all, it allows you to score 4 points. So for processing this, and you start here in the rough ER, 2 reds and 1 white. So you start here, bring your disc down here and then place it here and go through the membrane here. And then you're allowed to place it down. Again, let's assume you built previously one of these steroid hormone receptors And now remember a steroid hormone. This simply means when you have previously built one, yourself score 1 additional point. Instead of 8 from this card here, it's worth right now 9. However, if 2 other opponents build that as well, they score 2 as well. And now, knowing this, and coming back to the early goals, you wanted to score the additional 3 points, you have to reveal your strategy. In this case, Orange told us he is going for steroids heavily as he can because he wants to invest in receptors and into the cards as well. Right now, everybody would try to buy from here whenever a blue card, or even better, a steroid hormone receptor card shows up, places this here, in this case pink, get it into his hand. First of all, Orange can't get this card because Pink picked it up, and also when Orange built these, because Orange wants also to build the steroid hormones and not only the receptors, then you score always 2 points. As you can see, this goal mechanism and getting your goal cubes out, goal markers early, is a very clever and unique mechanism for Cytosis. Let's talk a little bit about Cytosis and the game itself. In general, it's a worker placement game with a really deep theme. If you are really interested in a scientific correct build worker placement game that is a little bit more for gamers instead of just a simple card game, and again scientifically top notch, then you should look for Genius Games. Genius Games is always having this scientific correct games on the market. They are combining education with cool gaming mechanics. And also, when you boil that down to this is just, in brackets, a worker placement game, no, you get a little bit more. You get on top this very unique and cool mechanic that I haven't seen before in a game, with reveal your strategy early to get more points, but also get the disadvantage of revealing your strategy. If you like it, it's some kind of a catch-up mechanism in the game, because you have to reveal your strategy. Then each single other player can try to counter you here. If you, for an example, go heavy for enzymes, there are only 2 enzymes of each color in the game. Each enzyme card is only twice in the game. So when Pink is going here and buying that out, and later on when the same comes out, White buys out this card. So you can screw up, for an example, Purple if he picked the gold card over there. That is also a very unique and interesting strategy in Cytosis. And I'm pretty sure that you will have a lot of fun with all your biology friends or other scientific interested friends with one of these Genius Games games, Cytosis. Why? I mean, you are a gamer. You're looking for worker placement games, cool Euro games, medium sized games that have a little bit extra. And this extra comes here from the theme, from the graphics, from all the correct names. So whatever you are using in this game is completely correct. And that makes this game so interesting. I really enjoyed this unique style of your goal cards and placing and revealing your strategy early to get the benefits of being this first player and the possible next event cards, or not revealing your strategy. It gives a lot of more spice to the normal worker placement game. However, I have to admit, this is a really good, solid worker placement game. So nothing wrong with the worker placement game, because I'm a really sucker for worker placement games. I really like them and I really love them. And this is the typical feeling of each single worker placement game, where you have to think about, oh, I need ATP this turn, but I also need microRNA this turn. Where do I have to go? Here or here? Now, so you decide for here, and the next player picks this spot and screws you completely off. If the third player then taking this one, you are completely screwed. There's one exception, the gray worker, the hired guns, so you can place them right next to you and take this action again, but only if it's already used. If not, you place it simply on an unoccupied spot. You need 4 ATP for that. However, this is a really cool, really race for the best spot in the game, and that is exactly the essence of worker placement games. Another thing that I really enjoyed in this game is, while you are playing, and I play a lot of worker placement games to be fair and honest, while you're playing a cool, super flow, easy flowing game, your decisions are fast, you place one worker, take your action, that is. There is no downtime in this game, and this is something I really appreciate too. There is also a very good flow, so you have to get resources to process them, and even if it feels super crowded on the board, which it is, and that's what you want from a worker placement game, you always have plenty of options what you can do. But beside all of this cool effects, you also, and that is the real interesting part on that, you also learn a lot about your personal body, your cells, and how your cells working. And that is, for me, the cream on top of this game. If you play Cytosis, you definitely learn something while you're playing. And isn't it nice to play something and study something? I mean, it's better than just reading a book, right? If you are a gamer with an affiliation for scientific correct games, you definitely should back this game, Cytosis, from Genius Games, right now on Kickstarter. I will add the link to my comments so you can easily find the way to the Kickstarter page. That was another, in a nutshell, Cyrils Brettspiele. My name is Nils, and today a preview of Cytosis right now on Kickstarter. Genius Games, have a great day. Bye bye.